I stood at the edge of my childhood home, the familiar facade of chipped paint and crumbling brick, now a ghostly silhouette against the fading twilight. A swirl of memories clung to the air, thick with the scent of regret, mockery, and the sharp sting of betrayal. It had been years since I left this place, years since my family had hurled their disdain like knives at my dreams of exploring the dark corners of history that no one dared to touch. They called it insanity, a disgrace. They thought I'd lost my mind, and maybe I had. The evening breeze whispered secrets through the trees, coaxing me forward. My heart raced, a drumbeat of dread and anticipation. I'd returned not as the failed relic conservator they had mocked, but as a harbinger of truths they would soon wish they had never dismissed. I was now a renowned expert in applied occult artifactology, a title that earned me both fear and reverence among those who dared to dive into the shadows. As I stepped onto the porch, the familiar creak of the floorboards sent shivers up my spine. Each sound echoed my past, the laughter of my family, the dismissive tones that had chased me into the arms of darkness. I lifted my hand to knock, but hesitated, a moment of doubt flickering like a candle in the wind. What would they see when they looked at me? Was I still their son, their brother, or had the years of cursed experimentation consumed the essence of who I once was? The door swung open, revealing my mother's face, aged and lined with worry. Her eyes widened, a mixture of shock and disbelief clouding her features. "You came back," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "I had to," I replied, stepping inside. The atmosphere felt thick, suffocating, as if the very walls were holding their breath. My family gathered in the living room, their expressions shifting from surprise to apprehension. They had always said I was obsessed, that I would end up regretting my choices. But I wasn't here to seek their approval. I was here to show them the truth, to deliver the weight of what I had uncovered. "Is that—" My father gestured toward the satchel slung over my shoulder, fear flickering in his eyes. "Yes," I said, unzipping the bag slowly, allowing the contents to spill onto the coffee table. Cursed relics, artifacts that glimmered with a sinister allure, lay before them. Each piece bore its own dark history, tales of despair and madness woven into their very fabric. I brought them back. My sister recoiled, her face paling. "You shouldn't have come here with those things. They're dangerous." "Dangerous?" I laughed, a sound that echoed hollowly in the room. "You don't even know the half of it." I picked up a glass vial filled with swirling darkness, the very essence of a curse I had ingested. This one nearly drove me to insanity. But I survived. I learned. Their expressions twisted, the disbelief morphing into something more primal, a fear that gripped them like a vice. They had laughed at my studies, small experiments, but now the shadows flickered in the corners of the room as if they were alive, listening, waiting. I didn't just study these artifacts. I became part of them, I continued, my voice rising with the thrill of revelation. I was reborn through their horrors. You thought I was insane, but I'm the only one who knows the truth. And then the shadows began to shift. I felt it before I saw it, an oppressive weight in the air, a pulse of darkness that seemed to resonate with the artifacts. My family's faces drained of color as a figure began to emerge from the darkness, twisting and writhing, an amalgamation of every nightmare I had encountered. It was a manifestation of the horrors I had faced, a grotesque reminder of the cost of my obsession and the cost of their disbelief. "Look at it!" I shouted, my voice hoarse with a mix of triumph and terror. "This is what I faced. This is what you mocked." The figure loomed larger, its eyes gleaming with malevolence, a reflection of the darkness that had once consumed me. My mother stumbled back, her hands trembling as she stared into the abyss of what I had become. "We didn't believe you," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "We thought you were lost." "You lost me the moment you turned your backs on my truth," I replied, my heart aching with a twisted satisfaction. "Now you must face what you dismissed." The figure lunged, a cacophony of anguished wails filling the room. My family screamed, their laughter replaced by visceral terror as they witnessed the manifestation of their ignorance. They were no longer mere spectators. They were part of the nightmare, their disbelief fueling the very darkness they had ridiculed. As the shadows enveloped them, I felt a strange sense of vindication wash over me. I had survived the horrors they had feared, and now they would understand the weight of their disbelief. The artifacts I had consumed had changed me, but they had also granted me a power that could not be ignored. I stepped back, watching as the shadows receded, leaving my family shaken and breathless. Their eyes met mine, filled with a mixture of horror and realization. They had thought my obsession was a delusion, but now they knew the truth. These relics were not just cursed, they were real, and so were the horrors they held. I turned to leave, the weight of my journey settling in my bones. As I stepped onto the porch, I cast one last glance back at the faces that had once mocked me. Their expressions were forever etched in my memory, a haunting reminder of what it meant to face the darkness and the cost of denying its existence. I walked away, the shadows trailing behind me, a crown of darkness that I had earned through suffering. The world outside was vast and filled with unspoken terrors, but I was ready. I had become what I was always meant to be, a guardian of the hidden horrors that lurked in the shadows, and I would ensure that no one else would suffer the same fate as my family. They had laughed at my descent into madness, but now they would live with the consequences of their disbelief.